Good morning all, and happy Friday. Back in the studio, and I want to do some more leaf prints today. Well, I don't know if these are considered leaves or pine needle prints, if you will. And I'm going to see if this is going to work out. I don't know how these are going to print, or maybe won't print, but we'll see what happens. So that is today's plan, the white pine tree. And I cut a tiny branch off of the tree, I know. So yeah, we'll go from there. Let's see what's gonna go on here.
But before we jump into this week's video, here's a quick introduction in case you're new around here.
Hi there, I'm Stacy, the encaustic mixed media artist behind Studio Stacy. Encaustic literally means to burn in. So I paint with beeswax and a torch, and because it's mixed media, pretty much anything else I can get my hands on. If you're new around here, welcome. If you're a returning viewer, welcome back. Consider subscribing and joining this artsy community. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up button, which helps me get introduced to more like-minded artsy folks like yourself.
All right, so let's see how these pine needles are gonna print. Hopefully they will. I'm not going to walk you through too much of this process as you've seen me do it before, but I'm basically using a couple different colors of watercolor, and I'm printing these needles onto some rice paper. So that's kind of the basics of it. So sit back, hope you enjoy the process, and let's see how these come out.
Good news. I think these are going to work out quite nicely. So I will probably stick you on time lapse and get to printing these pine needles. Another quick little studio session. I will flip the camera around and show you these white pine needle prints. I think they came out pretty good. The leaves I think definitely print better, but they don't print too bad. And it'll be just nice little kind of added element to the background of a future white pine painting. All right, so up first, this print here on this piece of paper and this print on this piece of paper are probably what I'm going to use for the prints in the background. And you know, some of them came out kind of blotchy because there's more water to them, while others came out a little less blotchy. Let me see, this one right here I really like, and that one right there I really like. But I think they're all gonna do serve a purpose and look good. So those are the kind of final prints that I'll probably use in the paintings. And then if I pan over this way, not to make you too dizzy, this I'll use for something else, but this was used the American beech leaf tree I used for this, and then the pines. This is the paper that I pressed down on top of the leaves. So I think this will be a fun little, perhaps, collage piece or background piece to use in a future painting. This is the mixed media paper that I just put down underneath those other pages just to protect the work surface. And again, you can see some American beech tree leaves painting kind of poking through along with these pine needles. So I think that's going to be fun, again, to use for a future project. And then this mixed media paper, still wet, but on the other side of it, it actually has some of the American beech tree leaves painting. So I'm debating about turning these into maybe like kind of double-sided kind of sketchbooks, but who knows? That's a future me thing. And then underneath this, again, you've got some prints of the white pine trees. And then on the back side, this was again from the American beech tree. So I think all this will be fun to use. Sorry about the rustling of paper if that was annoying. All these will be fun to use in future projects. And then that there, and this will be used in a upcoming white pine painting. Morning all. It is duck weather out there. Even had to get my rain boots out. Anyways, not why I picked up the camera, but yeah, it is definitely raining, so hopefully you can hear me over that kind of pinging on the roof. I do have a metal roof here in the studio, but at any rate, I know in the last video I talked about kind of maybe taking a break and switching gears from painting these tree paintings. However, I've changed my mind again. Shocking, I know. I'm still not completely, I would say, in the mood to paint these, but I also am the type of person that doesn't like things kind of like hanging over my head. And I would really kind of like to just kind of finish up these couple last few paintings. So I think this week's video is all going to be about the white pine tree. And yeah, you saw previously that I did the white pine needle prints. That's really hard to say. Anyways, so I'm going to keep going with this white pine tree painting in this video. And today's plan is to basically finalize, sorry about the lighting in here today. Today's plan is to finalize the tree kind of sketch and put some paint on it just to make sure I'm happy with how the bark and the leaves and or needles are going to turn out and all of that stuff. So that's today's plan. All right, I wanted to explain a couple of quick things. First of all, I thought I had, if I step back here slowly to not make you dizzy, I thought I had another panel that was 12 by 24 for this white pine tree. However, I do not. So, switching up gears just a little bit, it's going to go on this 12 by 16 panel. So it's a slightly smaller panel than what I've been working on, and because of that, the tree is slightly smaller, as you can see here. So this piece of watercolor paper is 12 by 16, matches the same size as the panel, and I'm just going to use this scrap of Tenguchu paper to trace it like I normally have been tracing the trees onto the Tenguchu. However, I've been using the India ink pens, and I think because this tree is smaller, I don't want these kind of solid black lines. I'm afraid that you're going to see them easier because it's such a skinny kind of tree trunk and such. So what I'm going to use, hopefully it'll work, is the Derwent Inktense pencil and a Stabilo Marxol pencil. Both of them are water soluble, so I have a paintbrush out and some water, and I'm hoping that I can draw on this really thin paper with those pencils. So we're going to see how this goes here. All right, I think that Tenguchu with the Stabilo Marxol and the Derwent Inktense pencil worked out. It's just going to be a matter of when I embed it into the background of the painting, which I haven't done yet, if I'm still going to be able to see it. So fingers crossed I will. But I have now come into another kind of, I don't know if you want to call it a problem, but another snag, if you will. So let me flip the camera around and show you what I'm talking about here. All right, and the rain has picked up, so hopefully you can hear me. But on these other tree paintings, I didn't have any of the leafy area on the trees. It was mainly just the barks of these trees. But on the white pine, as I walk over here, I'm doing the piney areas or the leafy portions of this tree along with the tree trunk, and the tree trunk is really incredibly skinny there. It's not even my full thickness of my finger, whereas these other trees, panning back over here, you know, it's quite a bit thicker here, so I think you can see that. So I'm not sure how much detail I'm going to get on the bark of the white pine. Here's a couple sketches that I've done for the bark on the white pine. And I might just, I don't know, I haven't decided if I'm going to make this a different color than the leaves. I mean, and theoretically it should be. However, my battery's beeping. Let me change this and explain more to you. All right, again, hopefully you can hear me. It's really starting to rain pretty hard out there. So these three colors were the three colors I was going to use for the tree. These three colors were the three colors I was going to use for the background. So in theory, I could take this brown and use it as the trunk of the tree with maybe some darker black kind of lines for the bark. In theory, they're gonna have to be really skinny lines too, because you know, skinny little tree trunk. So I could use that and still put it in the background, except I just want to make sure that, you know, you don't have a big swatch of dark brown here and then the tree over top of it with the brown, same color brown trunk. So kind of going back and forth here. So I think what I'm gonna do is take and use this piece of paper and really kind of dive into the details of the tree with the encaustic wax. Now granted, there's not gonna be a background on here, but at least I can kind of experiment a bit with it and see where this might take me. and it's going to be the same size as the tree that I paint on the panel. So I should be able to, in theory, get some sort of an idea here. So that's my thought, and I'm going to have to use the heat gun because, again, it's on paper. Don't want to catch the paper on fire, but, you know, it should all be pretty good. So I don't know if I'm going to fill this whole thing in or exactly how I'm going to do this, but I think I'm going to start with the green first, see what time it is, because it's been a week. We have a lot going on behind the scenes, as we always do, and some things haven't quite worked out as planned. So I need to cut my day shorter than normal here in the studio. So yeah, let me see where I get with this and we'll go from there. I'll probably put you on time lapse. That's what I was going to also say. I'll probably put you on time lapse. So yeah, there's not much left to explain, I don't think, in theory. All right, I think this is going to work. I only did, you know, a very small portion of the tree, but if I can zoom in on this bark and get you a close-up with it, trying to stay focused and not be too dark. Let me see if I can get this better camera angle here. All right, I don't know if that's any better of a camera angle, but I think you can kind of see the bark. In person, it looks good, and I used some of the green along with the dark brown and black. So I think that's going to work nicely. And here are the branches. The only downside is because I used a water media, it's not a real thin line here. I think it's going to be okay because the same thing did the same thing with the Tenguchu paper. Let me show you. All right, I'm pretty sure you can see that. I'm trying to keep the shadows out of it. But it's not a real crisp, clean tree branch line, and because it's so thin, you know, it's so I'm thinking it's going to work. That's what I'm trying to say. I think it's going to work. And I'm going to call it today in the studio. I'm pretty sure it's going to work. I'm kind of done experimenting, and I think I'm just going to go for it. So at the next studio session, I need to prep this panel, put encaustic medium down on it, some encaustic paint, all of the stuff. So I think that'll probably be the next studio session. For you all, it'll just be a few short seconds, but we will see you hopefully tomorrow. Hi y'all, video editing me coming at you, and I have actually decided to break this white pine tree painting into two parts. So this is going to be part number 1. Part number 2 will be coming at you next week. And I decided to break it into 2 parts because in part number 2, I'm doing something slightly different, and I'm thinking hopefully it'll be quite informative for you all. So I'm going to end this one here and stay tuned for part 2 coming at you next week, where I'm going to finish this painting and hopefully bring you along for maybe a little bit more of a unique behind the scenes kind of take a look at things. So anyways, hope you liked this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. It truly does help me out. I appreciate you coming along. Consider subscribing if you haven't already, and we'll see you next week. Bye for now.